New album, Billy, working alongside Joe Henry. How did that come about?
I've been writing a book about the period in our history when our pop music went from being jazz-based to guitar-led. And that kind of hinges on Lonnie Donegan having a hit with Rock Island Line in 1956. So looking at the sort of pop music around that time, I came to realise that a lot of songs that were played during the skiffle craze were railroad songs. It started me thinking how railroad songs work. Why are there so many railroad songs? And that sort of started me, thinking on how it is that we have a common culture with the Americans, but we don't have any, we don't really have many railroad songs ourselves in the UK compared to what they have in the United States.
Now, this album is quite special in terms of where and also how you recorded it. Could you tell us a bit about that? And what was the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, the inspiration behind it was to take these railroad songs back where they came from. So we recorded on a train between Chicago and Los Angeles. The Texas Eagle is the name of the route. It's the longest route on the Amtrak system, which gave us more time to record tracks. That's why we chose it. And it kind of goes down through the heartland. It goes down the Mississippi Valley, kind of doglegs through Arkansas, down through Texas to San Antonio, and then turns west and follows the Mexican border all the way to Los Angeles.
How long did that take you then?
It takes kind of 65 hours generally, but the trains, there's not many passenger trains on the line. In fact, we were the only passenger train that day once we were south of St. Louis. So the passenger trains have to give way to freight trains because there's more freight trains on American railroads than any other country in the world. So they have to get out of the way. So it took us a little bit longer because we got off in San Antonio. We wanted to get into the old Sunset Limited railway station there, so we took a day off to go and do that. And then we caught back up with the train following behind and got back on again and carried on. So all in all, it took us about 4 days.
So when you were getting off onto these train stations, what was the reaction to people on the platform as you were plugging in your guitars and playing these tunes?
Two guys playing guitars in a railway station is not a big deal in the United States of America or in this country, really. I think they just thought we were just busking. Most of the people in the railway station are trying to focus on actually getting onto the train or getting off the train and getting away. So we generally didn't draw much attention.
So in terms of the songs that are actually on the record, you've picked some classic American Railroad tunes. How did it come about that you picked those exact songs? Was it purely your say, or was it 50-50?
Well, it was Joe and I, we got together and we tried playing songs that we thought might work for the project, and some of them we could sing and some of them we couldn't. Some of them just didn't happen. So in the end, it was a mixture of things. And one of them, Gentle on My Mind, actually came to us while we were on the train. We were goofing around with it, and we suddenly realised as we sang the lyrics that it actually was being, the whole song comes from the perspective of a guy in a hobo jungle in a rail yard. So we felt it fit very much with our remit.
And you're taking this album on tour into the UK this month. What can people expect from the live shows?
Well, basically, there's no support. It's me and Joe for 2 hours. It starts with Joe and I on stage. We sing about half a dozen songs each. Then Joe does a set of about 5 songs. Then we take a break for 15 or 20 minutes, depending on how quick people get back from the bar. And then I come out and do 5 songs. And then Joe comes out to join me, and that's how we finish.
And would you say that it's the live aspect of your career, which is the moment, the thing that you like doing best, or is it recording the stuff, or what is it?
I think playing live is where I feel most comfortable. You get an immediate response there. You're in complete control, and you're sort of on a buzz really to do that. In the studio, it's more of a slog. Everyone's expecting you to come up with the next idea. You don't get much feedback from everybody around you really. So I've never been much of a studio person.
And you're coming over here to Lincoln as part of your tour. How many times have you played over here in Lincoln?
Oh, quite a few, I think. Last time I played was last year on the day that West Ham beat Liverpool. I remember I was at I was in Lincoln doing a show at that venue on that day. I think probably 3 or 4 times in my career.
Yeah. And what do you think of the city?
I was good. I had to walk up to the castle, up the top of the hill there. when I was in town last time, and it was the steampunk festival.
Yes.
I'm glad I found out, because I don't think if I'd have gone away and just thought, well, that's what Lincoln's like every Saturday afternoon, it would have been a bit strange. But I kind of tweaked what was happening up there.
Yeah.
And it was a lovely spot up there. That little windy road, and the vibe up there was great. So yeah, I try and see a bit of the town rather than just hide in my hotel and do nothing other than check my emails.
Fantastic. And obviously you recorded the album, as we mentioned, back in America. It's not long now until they elect their new president. Do you think that there's a prospect of a Donald Trump presidency?
Well, who would have thought there was a prospect of us leaving the European Union? When there's an election, anything can happen. So I think we have to wake up on Wednesday morning and see what's gone down. I think it could go either way, unfortunately.
And you mentioned Brexit. How do you see that unfolding? Obviously, there was the decision made by the High Court yesterday to block it. How do you see it happening?
Brexit is a poison pill that will destroy the Conservative Party. So you can see now they're already starting to split around it. It's just a matter of time before it destroys them, and we have to sort of try and work out how we rebuild our society, how we find a way of healing the divisions that the Brexit vote has opened up. I think it's going to be a while before we can do that, and it may even be that Brexit leads to the breakup of the United Kingdom. So I think it's the unintended consequences of Brexit that we have most to fear, and I'm not just talking about the rise in the price of Marmite.
And do you think that Jeremy Corbyn might be the man to come in and save the day?
Well, it'd be good if he was. I'd really like him to be, but obviously he's got a huge mountain to climb in terms of his credibility with the voters due to the months and months of infighting in the Labour Party. We've been shooting ourselves in the foot in those terms. But we have the opportunity, perhaps soon, to put our ideas to the test in a general election, possibly soon, the way that people are talking about in the press. And I think because the Conservatives will have to put forward their idea of what Brexit will look like, because that's really what the election is going to be about, I think they'll be on the defensive. So I think anything is possible. Labour might not be at the moment high in the polls, but nor were Leicester City last season.
Very true. Moving back to yourself, obviously you've got these shows coming up. What's next after that? Have you got anything in the pipeline, or?
I do, yeah. Well, I've got obviously this book I've written about skiffle will be coming out next year, so I'll be working on that. But between then and now, we're going back to the United States of America. No, we're not. We're doing a leg of a UK tour. That's what we're doing in January. Another leg of a UK tour, and then we're going to Australia, and then possibly we're going to the United States of America. Yeah, that's the proper order of it. So yeah, I mean the record's only been out a month, so there's plenty of time working on that now. Have a bit of a break over Christmas and then get stuck in again next year.
And what's the reaction been like to your new record?
Very positive, actually, in the United States. I'm interested to see how it goes over in the UK. Obviously, by the time we get to Lincoln, we should have been able to get a handle on that, how we explain the story. It's quite a long narrative about why we wanted to do this and how the songs fit together, and we managed to work that out pretty swiftly in the US. The thing about here is that we'll play two shows and then we'll have the result of the election to deal with. So I guess we're going to have to, change our narrative around a little bit to take that on board. But all the same, it's it should be a kind of like an ongoing feast, really, a tour. You add little bits every night, and by the time we get to Lincoln, it should all be there.